I think Brazil has good growth perspectives for 2024. That means about 2 or 3% GDP growth. And since Brazil is, of course, a big economy, 2-3% may sound small, but on a big starting base, we would be quite satisfied to see that sort of growth. I think politics are kind of under control. We have now a left-wing government. Actually, an ex-president of Brazil is now back. So initially, the economic players were quite concerned, but it seems to be a relatively prudent government in terms of economic policies. So we are quite comfortable that prudent fiscal policies will continue to set the tone in Brazil. Brazil has about 200 million inhabitants, so it's a big country. So consumer, by definition, is a promising industry, especially with some economic growth. There's a lot of infrastructure that still needs to be developed. Brazil is, of course, a developing country, so there's a lot lacking in infrastructure. So I would say consumer and infrastructure, and perhaps as a third overall group, healthcare and education. Why do owners think about selling their business? Probably the most important reason is succession, where the founder or the founding family reaches a certain age, 60 to 70 years old, no children in the family that want to take over the business. So that's succession issues is the main reason why we see a lot of M&A activity in Brazil. For 2024, there's also a lot of indebted companies, and that's perhaps still coming from the pandemic. So there will also be a significant market for distressed M&A. Private equity has always been quite active in Brazil. I would say private equity is a dominant force in M&A in Brazil for the last 15, perhaps even 20 years. Many of the big global private equity players are present in Brazil. In addition to that, we have some specific Brazilian private equity players. So private equity is important. And in terms of interest rates, it's also interesting to mention, Brazil typically has high interest rates, and it's actually coming down. So whereas the world overall is now has been increasing interest rates, Brazil has been gradually decreasing interest rates. And the perspective is that interest rates in Brazil will go to about 9% on an annual basis. So it's exactly the opposite of what is happening in the world. So lower interest rates will reduce your discount rates on deals. So that will increase the value, and that will, of course, make it more attractive for owners to sell their business. In other words, a lower interest environment is more positive for M&A activity.